Hello everyone, welcome back to hobby vlogging Dragoonster16. Here's what we've done, kind of technically over the last 2 weeks. So the reason why there was a bit of faff last week was I'd been trying something out because when I first used the Vallejo paint, the Vallejo red for the wonderful red coats that we've got on this first battalion, it was really watered down. I thinned it down a little bit because that's what you're meant to do, and it was really watery. So I was wondering if maybe these came pre-thinned. And it does say, to be fair. So I was trying it out on different things. So that's why there's some Hanoverians over here that have been painted, but not all of them. Some of them are still in here. And I'll have to have a think about the Jaegers at some point. But I was looking at this, and it does say, if I can... I'm sure it says somewhere, that you're meant to shake well. But I can't see where that is. Where's the... Says it there. There. I don't think it's focusing properly, but it does say shake well. And you have to shake it well, otherwise you get slightly more of the medium than the pigment. And so it ends up being really kind of thin. So I was trying this out. Ooh, maybe actually you don't need to water it down. And then I tried it out and you do. And then I tried it out really shaking it really hard, because each shake kind of gave it a different kind of colour. These guys have all had, okay, apart from the command, have all had 2 coats of red, and I think they look quite good to an extent. I think I was worried that it was a bit too kind of pale and pastel-y, but I think these kind of guys are all right. I don't actually have any way of highlighting or washing. I only have these paints, and I don't want to go out and buy loads more. So I'm rather limited. They do look rather dark. That's probably because they've all had the red painted on, and kind of these 8 over here have had their trousers painted grey. Now the grey actually scared me a little bit, because the grey, this is the grey, it looks very dark. If I were to put it on the palette, which I'm not going to, it would look very, very dark. But it comes out actually quite nicely. I would say it's probably still darker than this grey. And I'm not entirely sure how to get the best angle for that. I think that's probably a darker grey than the trousers on the book. But I think it's close enough that I think if I didn't directly compare it like that, I don't think people would be overly bothered, which is a good thing, because I don't have any other options other than mixing it in with my white. Just showing you the paints. I was actually hoping to get a little bit more done this week, because I'm on half term, so that means no work, no supply, schools aren't open. So that means more time. It also means less money, which is a slight issue. Does he need to be repainted? Oh dear, he needs to be repainted. Huh. I thought everyone had already had 2 coats. He clearly hasn't. Or he doesn't look like it. I'll have to do a second coat on, or another coat on him. Maybe a third, depending on how many I've actually done on him. And then there's still the guys back there. I've also spent some time this week, because the lighting in the electric light in this room is not good. I mainly do this during the day, and with winter approaching, that's going to be kind of limited time, because, as I said, the light in here is not good. I've been fiddling around with kind of plans of what I'm going to do after this. So after I've done all of the British, so that includes painting out all of these guys and painting all the Hanoverians, and then the British and the Hanoverians here, and assembling and painting, we're going to do the French, etc. Vive l'Empereur, probably what I should have said. So we'll work on those. I've also kind of been planning out what I'm going to get for them. So their army is going to be I think probably a better army, because it's going to have kind of some kind of plan to it, and it's not just going to be a horde of infantry. Yay. So that's the plan. But I've been kind of umming and ahhing about the question for a while now. And feel free to chime in. But what I'm currently planning, and if you don't want to see this, then comment, because I'm still kind of umming and ahhing about it. But my plan is finish the British, do the French, then I'm going to do an army start an army that's going to be roughly the same size / price for the Russians, the Prussians, and the Austrians, because I think those are the big 5 powers of the Napoleonic era. And then I can use like their slots. Basically then I'm going to put money into the smallest one, or do a spend for them. But for some of the slots or the spends, I can use kind of their allies. So that means we're going to have a bit of a variety of what we're going to see, I think, which might make things a bit more interesting for me to modelling, but also for you watching, depending on how long the series actually goes. Got to work out. So working on these guys, I think the next thing to do is probably a good brown. This looks quite dark though. But then again, I thought that about the grey. I think all of them look darker in here than they are. I think the red looks slightly darker, admittedly. So maybe it is just kind of, these look darker or more pigmented than these guys, than when they're actually on. So the brown might not be too bad, because the brown, of course, is going to be the muskets, and most of the backpacks are going to have a brown. Although, of course, I'm going to have to touch up do the grey here. Some of these guys definitely need another coat of the red. He's going to be predominantly grey because of the overcoat. So there's a few bits and pieces to do. There's a lot of bits and pieces to do. So I've got the brown to do. Then there's the white, because the cross belts. Let's see if I can get a good one where I've not painted over a lot of it. You can see these cross belts. Some of them are black. Some of them have kind of been covered in red paint. Going across. They are supposed to be white, I'm fairly sure. He says, checking the Osprey book. The outside cover. So you've got brown and white. Then, of course, we're going to have the oily steel, that it's called, for the bayonets. We might need some brass. I think sometimes that if there's any shako plates on show, I think a lot of these are covered. They're going to need that. We're also going to need that for the sapper's apron. I don't think they dress like this. Trying to look through Osprey, I'm not entirely sure they dress like that, but hey. We've got gold. Obviously, we've got the skin colour, whichever one I'm going to use. I've got light flesh and... what's this one called? Pale flesh. Seems slightly redundant. I don't know why I bought both of them. They do look slightly different. Like the light flesh does look paler. So I could give them a go, see what they're like. I don't know. Actually, I was just thinking, could I combine them with the brown to have some black soldiers? I don't know if there were any in the British forces. I mean, there would have been in the West India regiments, I'm fairly sure. I'm not sure about the British raised ones. So that's something to think about. And then we've got the blue, the black, the green, the buff, technically the red as well. And then there'll be black, and then there'll be I think white as well. For the facings, once I've decided what regiment this is going to be. I've got a few ideas. I think I'm definitely going to do one that's blue, because there's... first of all, there's a Liverpool regiment, and that's normally they're counties, but there's actually a Liverpool regiment, not just a county one, which would be West Lancashire, and that had blue. There's also the Royal Americans, who were blue, and I might do that to represent some of the people who watch my channel, and then I can accidentally get them all killed, which is not a good thing. But there's a few other options. I mean, that's an idea that I had, is to kind of have units representing as many people as possible. The problem is, there's people from the Balkans watching my stuff, and they're very welcome, but they were at that time part of the Ottoman Empire. You cannot find Ottoman Napoleonics anywhere. No one does them. People do. I think partially because the major forces in the Napoleonic period were European. So there's that. I mean, thinking about the regiments. It's not that book. Which one is it? It's this book. In this book, you get a whole host of... I think I've shown this to you before, so you're going to get it again. You get this massive page of all the various kind of regiments and what kind of thing they had. So you've got the facing colours, and then what was the officer's lace, gold or silver? And then you've got the loop shape, and then you've got the pattern of the lace and whatever. So let's say we're talking about these two blues. So you've got the 8th Kings, so that's the Liverpool Regiment. So that's got blue facings and the officer's lace was gold. Now the Royal American was the 60th, it's right at the bottom. They had blue and silver. So that means that there is a way that I could actually have both and try and distinguish them. I mean, the other option is I have both, and then I just write on the bottom of the bases, or paint something on the bottom of the bases to say, this is the 8th, this is the 60th. We can work on that. Unfortunately, it's kind of frustratingly, there's only so many flags they give you, and they give you the first, the Royal Scots, they give you the 33rd Yorkshire, West Riding. Then you've got the King's German Legion. These guys are not King's German Legion, because I think they wore different colours. Then they've got the 23rd Royal Welsh. It's Welsh, but everyone calls them Welsh for some reason. The 2nd Coldstream Guards, which I think don't necessarily have red. I think they might be different. Normally it's this colour. Then the buff, you got Inniskilling, which I think is Irish, and then more Scots. I'm kind of hoping to do... I think my plan for the British, when we get back to them, which admittedly I've not done all of these guys yet, is actually to do like a Scots brigade. So I'd probably get like a box of Highlanders and the Royal Scots Greys. Because I think, have like a Scots division. Also, Royal Scots Greys, that's cavalry. Something these guys very much need. Also more artillery. I mean, having said that, I did say I was planning on getting like a box of Highlanders, which is more infantry, which is probably one thing that this British force does not need. But hey, we'll think about things as we go along. I mean, that's my current plan, but of course things could change. My plan, I actually planned out armies for all of those 5 major powers that I mentioned, to be all roughly around the same ballpark value. So we'll see how badly this kind of piecemeal British force that I've just kind of been like, oh, I'd like to get, I'd like this the box of Hanoverian. That's quite good. And then getting these bits of command, and then these commanders in here, which I actually haven't put together yet. I should really do that. Then again, I've still got these two guys boxes to put together, so probably not something to worry about too much. Hopefully, as I said, we'll get some more painting done on these guys. My plan now, actually, is to get 2 battalions done soon. Hopefully, which will be these guys, and considering I'm already kind of like partially done with the Hanoverians, will probably be those guys as well. And then I can just, for my own sake of like learning the rules, I can just do like a little battle between the two, which I might record. I mean, if you're interested in that, please comment and tell me. And then I might then do something slightly different, like the artillery and the Jaegers, and then maybe try out those guys in a battle report so they get this and this. But then, of course, I've got multiple battalions, so I would need I need commanders. So that's where maybe I could kind of consider working on that. The other option is I just start working on like, oh, I need to do redcoats. Let's just paint all of the redcoats. But I think that'll probably take a long time and be quite tiring. And I kind of like the idea of doing chopping and changing. It means that I'm not doing constantly the same colour over and over again for an entire army, but it also means that I can kind of change up my stuff for you guys by having those kind of battle reports. I mean, the other option then, on top of that, is then add a second battalion of each. So paint another British, and then assemble and paint the Hanoverians, and that gives you a bigger force. Yeah, just kind of trying to think aloud about what I could do. And there's loads of options, loads of different things to do. I can still got some stuff to assemble. I've still got some stuff to paint, and then I'll be sticking things onto bases and playing eventually, hopefully. Maybe at some point I can play with a real person. Although we're probably going back into lockdown, so almost certainly not. And on that down note, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.